Okay, just like we have been, we're going to start with the grammar review, just like a little practice. So I'm going to present my screen. There's 3 questions for you to work on real quick. I'll give you about 4 minutes to do them, probably. Alrighty, can you guys see my screen? All right. So our 3 first 3 sentences. So the first one says, July is my favorite month of the year. Second one says, he made the new car. So correct those 2 sentences.
You sound kind of like a robot because it's glitching.
Sorry, there's not much I can do about it glitching. And then for number 3, it says to add a suffix to the word. So we have the word strange. You need to add an ending to the word strange to make it a new word. So use strange as your root word and then add an ending to give it a different meaning. So I'm going to give you guys 4 minutes to do that until 8:38. I'll put on a little bit of music too. No idea if you guys can hear it. I'm going to assume you can. Okay, about 2 more minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and go over these. Are we ready? Go over a couple. All right. You guys can turn your cameras on. It's a little bit helpful for me, just saying. So, let's go ahead and start. Well, let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. Let's start with number 1. I'm going to do it in a different color. Let's go ahead and go with red. Let's start at the very beginning of the sentence. What's the first thing I should fix about this sentence?
The capital.
We need to capitalize it. So we start with July, but what's wrong with the word July?
Take away the I and replace it with the Y.
Okay, we gotta spell it right. July is July. So July is my favorite month of the year. What else do I need to fix about this?
You have to fix favorite.
Favorite. So is correct. How do I spell favorite?
Favorite.
Yep, ITE. Is my favorite month of the year. Is month of the year correct? Does that look good? Yep, month of the year. Oops, spell it right. And then what do I put at the end?
Period.
A period. If you want to put an exclamation point because you're like, yeah, it's my favorite month of the year, go for it. As long as you have punctuation of some sort there. Okay, our next one. We have, he made the last payment on his new car. What should I do at the beginning of the sentence?
Capitalize.
Always capitalize it. He made. Is that how you spell made?
No, MADE.
Good. MADE. He made. So he made something. The last payment. Anything wrong with the last payment?
The word.
Which
payment.
word?
Payment.
Payment is wrong, right? How do I spell payment?
PAYMENT.
The last payment on his new car. What's wrong with that part?
You have to replace the Z with an S.
Good. We gotta fix the spelling of his. On his new car. And what goes at the end?
Period.
A period. Good. And then our number 3 right here, adding a suffix. So we're adding an ending. You could add a ton of endings. Okay, good. I heard. I'm just gonna write a couple. I heard stranger. Oops. What else? Strangely. Strangely. Anybody have anything else?
I wanted to say stranging, but I know that's not a word. What about strangest?
Good. Strangest is a word. Strangest. Any other ideas there?
Strangeful.
I don't think strangeful is a word. No, strangeful wouldn't work on that one. Any other ideas? I can't even think of any more. I think this might be the only ones. So yeah. How'd you guys do on that? Good? Bad? Pretty good? Awesome.
Yep.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and start working on our Brown Girl Dreaming assignment for the day. So we're gonna need to go to Google Classroom and open up our Brown Girl Dreaming assignment. Okay, so we'll click on it and have it take us there so that we are in Savvis Realize. Okay, and then we will open up Brown Girl Dreaming Student Edition Unit 1. Still working on this one, so remember, don't turn it in. If you already have, as long as you're updating your notebook, I can see that you are typing in it. Hopefully that's working. If not, let me know and we'll figure that out.
Miss Jones.
Yep.
You know what's weird about the save as? You can spell it the same how it is. You can spell it backwards and it would still be the same word.
That's cool. What is that called? There's a name for that. I don't remember what it is, but it's like you can do that with the word race car too. Race car is spelled the same forwards as it is backwards.
Or taco cat.
Taco cat, yep. That's true. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys another minute.
Finally, she laughs.
Sabbath realize, are you guys getting there? Getting it pulled open? And I'll give you about 30 more seconds. I'm gonna close the title part of it. We don't need it.
Okay,
So,
I got it.
Good. So we have the Brooklyn Rain Brown Girl Dreaming story open on the left, and then we have our options on the right of the section that we're gonna do today. While you guys are pulling that up, there are, let me see, I counted earlier, I wrote it down. So there's 14 of you guys, whether or not you're on the call or not at this point, I don't know who's who, that have not finished this comprehension check part. If you have, you're all good. But this did go in your grades, and there's 14 of you guys that did not do it. Maybe you started it or you didn't finish it, but if you go to Power School and you see that it's marked as missing, then you have not completed this. And your grade is reflecting that right now. It's showing that you have a 1 out of 4 in your grades, which means that you don't understand it. But I can't give you a grade if you haven't done it. So make sure you go back and finish this up. I just sent messages to those of you on Schoology that are missing anything that I put in as grades. So this might be one of the things that you're missing. Okay.
I messed up because on an accident I went to a menu on the corner and I put most of mine.
You clicked what?
I put menu. I didn't know how to use the website.
Are you getting used to the website now?
Yeah, I pushed menu on it. I put all my notes on there.
Okay, so you're able to fill these out or not?
I put, look, it's on the corner. It says menu.
Yoshi.
I clicked it and I put on a notebook on that one.
Okay, so you've been writing in here instead?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did 5 of them on there.
Okay, I'll go check that out. Let me know if today when we're doing the section we do, if you can type in the notebook or not. Because if not, we'll, in these ones. If not, we'll go back and figure out how you can do that. Like if I can return the assignment somehow to you, we'll figure it out, okay?
All right.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started on today's. Are we ready for today's? All right. The first part that we're going to do today is actually something that's going to go in your grade book. So you want to make sure that you're following along. And when I give you time to work on stuff, that you're actually finishing it up so that you don't have to go back and do it later. So we're going to be we're still in the making meaning part. So on the right, under making meaning, we're going to do the very last one. We've done concept, vocabulary, first read. We've done all of those. We did analyze the text yesterday. So today we're on analyze, craft, and structure. That's the part we're going to do today. So go ahead and open that up on the right. Okay. Are we good? Got that open? Not yet? Okay, I'll give you a minute. Analyze, craft, and structure. So it's under making meaning, and it's the very last one. Analyze, craft, and structure. Okay, we're going to kind of go over what the questions are asking you, and then I am going to give you guys some time to finish it on your own. I want to see what you guys can do with these questions. Okay, are we there? Looking good? Okay. So let's go ahead and read just kind of the information it gives you first. So it says memoir and poetry. In a memoir, an author tells a true story of an important time in his or her life. The memoir, or most memoirs, are written in first-person point of view, or from the author's perspective. So let's just stop right there for a second. The memoir, if you click on the blue highlighted word, it gives you even more of an example. and definition. So it says a memoir is a type of autobiography. So someone is writing it about themselves, and it focuses on a particularly meaningful period or series of events in the author's life. So if we're thinking about Brown Girl Dreaming in this memoir, Woodson, the author, is focusing on her childhood and when they moved to New York. So she's focusing on that particular part of her life. And typically, a memoir is written from the first person point of view, which the author or the narrator takes part in the story's events. The author will refer to himself or herself using the pronoun I. So when we're looking through all of these poems, they're written from the first person point of view because Woodson is consistently saying, I thought about this, or I did this, or we, things along those lines. She's using a first person point of view. Okay? So let's look at where point of view is highlighted and just talk about point of view really quick. Point of view is the perspective or the vantage point from which the story is told. The storyteller is either a narrator outside of the story or a character in the story. So in this case, we're using the first person point of view because it's describing the story told by a character who uses the first person pronoun I. We'll look at the other types of point of view a little bit later, but for right now, we're only going to be using the first person point of view because we know that Jacqueline Woodson, the author of the story, is telling it from her point of view. She's using I did this, we did this, I thought about this. So it's all first person point of view. Okay, is that making sense so far? And I'm pretty sure in 5th grade you guys talk about point of view, right? A little bit, if you remember. Okay, let's keep reading that. So we're at right here. The author tells what happened. Oops. So the author tells what happened and what he or she thought or felt about it, which is the first person point of view. Memoirs are usually written in prose or complete sentences and paragraphs. So let's look at the word prose really quick. Prose is an ordinary form of written language. Most writing that is not poetry, a drama, or a song is considered prose. Prose is one of the major genres of literature and occurs in two forms, nonfiction and fiction. So prose, the way that you typically see it, is books. Books are written in prose, where it's just paragraphs and complete sentences. Any sort of textbook usually is written in prose because it's paragraphs of information. So prose is just like someone writing in paragraphs. Okay? That's different from what we see over here in Brooklyn Rain and all of these poems because it's poetry. It's not written in prose. They're not always complete sentences. It's not really paragraphs. You have lines of text versus paragraphs of text. Okay? So for the most part, when in prose, most of the dialogue is, wow, what am I trying to say? Most also use dialogue to show how people speak and what they are like. In the memoir, Jacqueline Woodson takes a different approach. Instead of prose, she tells her story in a series of poems that include these elements. So these are different elements of poetry. The first is a stanza, or sections rather than paragraphs. So let's look at the word stanza. A stanza is a group of lines of poetry that are usually similar in length and pattern and are separated by spaces. A stanza is like a paragraph of poetry. It states and develops a single main idea. So if we're looking on the left over at Brooklyn Rain, from line 1 to line 11, can't really highlight it, is the first stanza. So it's the first like paragraph of Brooklyn Rain. It all kind of follows the same idea of things are different in Greenville than they are in Brooklyn, and then she explains why. So that's the first stanza, the section of the poetry. Okay. The next part, elements of poetry, is that complete sentences are usually broken up in separate lines. So if we look at, let's just say the first two lines right here. This is a full sentence. The rain here is different than the way it rains in Greenville. It's a full sentence, but it's on two separate lines of the poetry. So most of the time in poetry, your complete sentences are broken up on separate lines. Sometimes you don't even get complete sentences, which is actually what this third part is going to talk about. So the third element that we see when Jacqueline Woodson is writing is that the language that she uses is broken up. It breaks certain rules. So for example, Woodson sometimes uses sentence fragments and non-standard capitalization. So see the sentence fragment in lines 32 through 36 of Believing. So they gave us a reference right here. Use those lines to see what a sentence fragment is. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go down to Believing, scroll all the way down. I think it's the last one. Gifted, sometimes, Uncle Robert, wishes, there's Believing, and it says lines 32 through 36. So we're going to use the numbers on the left, go down to 32 through 36. So that starts right here. We have incorrect capitalization on some places, and it uses sentence fragments. A sentence fragment is a sentence that is not complete. It doesn't have its subject and predicate. It's not a complete sentence. So if we read it, it says, how each new story I'm told becomes a thing that happens in some other way to me. That's not a complete sentence. There's random capitalization with the I'm right here. It shouldn't be capitalized in the middle of a sentence. How each new story is not a complete sentence. So that's kind of the route that they're talking about. They're breaking the rules of standard sentence writing, but it's poetry, so it's kind of allowed. Does that make a little bit of sense? Those three different things? Okay. Now, let's read this last paragraph, and then we'll talk about the questions you need to answer. It says, Woodson's choice to tell her story through poems affects how readers understand it. It allows Woodson to emphasize certain words, phrases, and ideas. She uses storytelling elements, such as dialogue. This combination of poetry and storytelling helps Woodson immerse readers even more deeply into her childhood world. I would suggest using this paragraph as some text evidence in some of the questions that you answer later on. Just as a little hint there. Kind of gives you some answers. So keep that in mind. Now, on the right over here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 questions that I'm going to have you guys work on your own. We're going to talk about them, and I'll write a little summary of what you need to do for each one, but your answers need to be your own, and I'm going to go back and grade these 4 questions. Sound good? Understand? Looking good so far? Alrighty. So, all good. All right, number 1. So, well, first of all, it says respond to these questions. Cite textual evidence to support your answers. Text evidence means you're going to go back into all of these poems and cite different lines if you need to. Put them in quotes so that we know that you haven't stolen from her work. You maybe paraphrase, but don't just steal her words and say that they're wrong. Remember, that's called plagiarizing. Not allowed. So, number 1 says, part A, so there's 2 parts. Identify one example of a private thought or feeling that Woodson shares in her memoir. And part B, explain how the use of first-person point of view allows her to share this detail. So, if we are looking over at our, what are these called? Poems. It's asking us to find one example of a private thought or feeling. I'm going to use, just to show you guys, if you guys cannot use the same example, but if I were to be in, so this poem is called Uncle Robert. We already highlighted this, I want to be smart like Dell. We know that's her private thought, so you can type out exactly what that private thought is. So, 1, feeling or thought by Woodson. So you'll type out one feeling or thought by Woodson that you found. Okay. And then for part B, you'll tell me why she can share this from first person point of view. So that'll be the first one you'll do. Okay, any questions about number one? Does that one make sense? All good? Okay. Keep your answers to yourself because you are going to be doing it on your own. So keep them to yourself for now. So that'll be number one. Write down one thought or feeling that you find that Woodson shares. Saying that all in a row is hard. And then why she can do that from first person point of view. Number two says, identify the sentence fragments in lines 2 to 3 of Brooklyn Rain. Talking too much, I'm slurring my words. So you'll go to lines 2 and 3, which are here and here at the very, very top, and you'll tell me what the sentence fragments are. Which ones are not complete sentences? So part A, identify the incomplete sentences. And then part B is asking you to explain how these incomplete sentences, so these fragments, help create a more vivid picture of the rain in Greenville. And vivid means that you can picture it in your mind, that you can kind of see what she's talking about. You're able to create a picture in your mind. So, so explain why this creates a picture in your mind. Okay. That's going to be what you do for number 2. You guys feeling all right with that one? Any questions? Okay. Now number 3 says, part A, in lines 4 through 11 of Brooklyn Rain. So 4 through 11, what words appear, or what word appears on its own line 3 times? So part A, tell me what word. And then part B is, why do you think Woodson did that? And so part B is asking you, why do you think she even decided to put those on a separate line? What was the point? So that's what you'll answer for number 3. Any questions on number 3? Good on number 3? All right. And then number 4. It says for part A, in line 23 of sometimes, so we scroll down and find the poem sometimes, I find line 23, it's labeled on the side. 23 says sometimes that's the way things happen. So in line 23 of sometimes, Woodson's sister says, sometimes that's the way things happen. What does this tell you about her sister's feelings on life? So feeling. Part A, find how you about Ella's feelings. Part B is going to be how the story was childhood be different if they were told from her sister's point of view. We were thinking about all the stories about them moving to New York and seeing their Uncle Robert. And how would all this be different from Adela's point of view? How would these stories be different from Odella's point of view? So if she were telling it in first person point of view, Odella was, how would it be different? And that's number 4. So that's what you guys are going to spend some time working on right now. Does anybody have any questions about those 4 questions? No? All good?
Nope.
Okay, so it's 9:03. I think we're actually just going to have you guys work on that today, and we'll kind of just do what we were going to do for after this tomorrow. We'll start it again tomorrow instead of trying to fit it in today. So what you guys to do is stay on for at least 10 minutes. So at least until 9:15 and be working on these so that you can ask questions if you get stuck on anything. Sound good? Everybody's frozen. Okay. Okay, cool. You guys froze, but you guys are good. Take about 10 minutes at least right now and work on those 4 questions. And I'll be here after those 10 minutes. If you're done, I'll have you guys head out. If not, you can stay on and be working. Cool. So go ahead and get to work on that. I'll put on a little bit of music. Feel free to ask questions. I'll put it back on my screen so you guys can see how I kind of explained them. If you need me to scroll down to a different one, just let me know. Go ahead.
Starting next week, can I just take your attendance on something like this?
For sure.
And then I can give it to you every day or.
Totally works.
Every day.
Definitely. Thanks for doing that too.
No, that's no problem.
Mr. Jones, what is vivid?
Vivid means that it is like really clear. So it creates like a really clear picture in your mind when you read it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Still last thing, yeah, still working on Brown Girl thing.
Yeah, Phil, we're still on Brown Girl Dreaming. We're gonna work on it probably until next Friday, honestly, with different things. So don't turn it in if you're not done. And if you already did, we can figure out how to get it back to you or where you can write your stuff down. Okay?
Could you scroll down to this?
Do you want number 2 or 3? Or 4?
So that's all we had to do, Miss Jones, was those 4 questions.
Yep, just finish those 4 questions for today, and we'll continue tomorrow instead of trying to squeeze stuff in today.
Okay. Can I watch a YouTube video about how to make an origami wallet?
Sure. Are you done with everything else?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to stay on. You're good to go if you're finished.
Okay.
Okay. That goes for everybody else too. Let me stop my music for a sec. If you're finished up
Origami
with
is my favorite.
hang on, Skylar. If you're finished up with those 4 questions, you can go ahead and head out, and I'll see you guys at 10:30 for math. If you want to stay on, I'll be here until 9:45. I'll stay for a half hour, but it's up to you.